Mick Gray chats with friends of Robert Gordon, October 21st, 2022.
Well, I want to bring our guest in because he's all the way from the East Coast and it's getting late. Let me ask him to unmute. Come on in, Albert.
Hey, Mick.
So good. Thank you so much for being here tonight. It's I just think, when a guy like this that's so important and really kind of added and changed music in general, when he passes, I just think the best thing to do is to remember it and enjoy it and revel in who he was. And what better way to do it than to bring somebody in that knew him and worked with him personally, right here, Mr. Albert Bouchard, known for being founding member of Blue Oyster Cult, of course. And now he's a dictator now. He's in the Dictators.
Yeah. I've been around. I made the circuit. But yeah, it's funny, but you said that he didn't like 60s music, but he did like that.
Really? Because
he
that
told
was
me he did. I remember the first time I heard that cut, the Touch Me Babe, that I'd gone over to his apartment to I don't know, we wrote about 40 songs together.
Wow.
And only a handful were rockabilly style. It was all like just regular sort of pop stuff or some weird kind of, actually kind of like the Doors a bit.
Wow.
So
that's amazing. So that's a misnomer. Yeah, that's like.
And the other thing is that Cleopatra Records, his label that he's on now, that signed him, they hooked that up. That was the first thing they did. They do a lot of like sort of collaborations of musicians. Like my brother Joe just did a Pink Floyd cover. He played bass, and Billy Cobham played drums. Al Di Meola played guitar. I can't remember some other jazz guy. There was like 3 jazz guys, and my brother and a singer, and they did Pigs from.
Is this on a new Pink Floyd tribute record or something?
Yeah, put out by Cleopatra. So it's the same thing. These folks that signed Robert, they were kind of trying to that Rockabilly for Life. I think that was his first record that he did for them. And you'll notice they have him playing with all these other people,
Yeah.
So
each song has a different artist that he's collaborating with there, right?
Yeah, but now the new record that it's coming out is that's
Hellified.
Hellified, and it's also not strictly rockabilly. As a matter of fact, there's only really a couple songs. There's one that's like this weird, like sort of like a mariachi kind of thing. You'll see when you hear it. It's crazy, but Robert could sing anything. Come on. He had the best voice I've ever heard.
He really did.
Phenomenal.
And the thing about him, the way I look at it too, is he did a lot of rockabilly, but when he did rockabilly, it became Robert Gordon. I mean, he owned every freaking song he ever did in his life.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, you hear him do Conway Twitty, he outdoes Conway Twitty. You hear him do Elvis, he outdoes Elvis. I mean, he was phenomenal. He was very much a perfectionist. He demanded perfection, and I think it took a musician with a certain kind of temperament to work with him.
Yeah. When
you couldn't be insecure and work with him.
When did you first meet him?
I met him through Tommy Price, because I was working on this album called Imaginos, which ended up coming out as a Blue Oyster Cult record. Yeah. But and Tommy Price was playing with me, and he also was doing gigs with Robert, and I went to see a gig, and he said, Albert, you got to meet Robert. I'd seen him in the Tough Darts, but I'd never met him. And so he brought Robert over, and he said, or brought me to Robert, and he said, Robert, this is Albert. He's a great songwriter. You guys should write some songs. And so that's how it started, was with Tommy suggesting to Robert that we write together, and we did a lot of stuff. A few of this on the new record, he's doing like I think 3 or 4 of my songs.
Yeah, I was just
and
gonna ask you that. How many of the songs on Hellify were you
he,
guys co-wrote?
yeah, that's the most he's ever done. He did "Middle of the Night" is a song that I wrote, and I don't know what else. Let's see, there was a couple others. "Don't Act Like You're in Love." I don't know if you ever
Oh
heard
yeah,
that.
I think I've heard that. Yeah,
And but
that's
those
fantastic.
weren't even the best songs. They were like just the easiest ones that he could teach the band, I guess, or something. I
Yeah,
don't why he
gosh, it's crazy. It's crazy.
but and I've been bugging him forever, to do these songs. I said, it doesn't always have to be rockabilly, but you know
And you realize 1 year ago tomorrow at this time, you guys were on this show live on the phone from a show in New York City.
oh, I was.
Yeah, so you
Oh,
and Steve and
oh,
Bill and Robert.
right.
Robert had his phone, or excuse me, Bill
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Moser had his
yeah,
phone, and he brought you guys into my show,
yeah, yeah,
and that
yeah.
was 1 year ago. Right now, tomorrow.
Yeah, well, I'd always wanted to play drums with him, and he was always like, I got my guys, I got Tommy, oh, I got Anton, and so eventually, and I actually played a gig with him, a duo gig.
Oh wow!
Yeah, in 2012, we played a duo gig with me playing guitar and singing, and him just singing.
How
It was just two
cool!
people, and at
Wow!
the end we played like a half a dozen songs, and at the end, he said, "Al, I love you, man, but you're not a guitar player."
Oh man, he did
Yeah,
not.
he was harsh.
He
Oh
did
my
not
God.
hold back. I think that's something that you'll hear from
Yeah,
everybody, that he did not hold back.
yeah, yeah. It was fine for the demos, though, and he would show it to Spedding, and Spedding would, he would
Oh
kill it. So
God,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I'm
Well,
no Chris Spedding, that's for sure.
well, I mean, the three, he played with quite a few guitarists, but the three main ones there, Link Ray and Chris Spedding and Danny Gatton, those three guys.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
My
That's like,
God,
yeah,
kind of
it's our
hard.
royalty right there. Yeah,
It sure is, man. Now
yeah,
you have graced us. Now the new Hellify record, which comes out in November.
yeah,
I ordered it on colored vinyl from I don't know where the other day, but
yeah.
I asked you, and you sent over a couple songs that we can premiere.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Bill encouraged me. I said, I don't know. I don't want to mess things up with Cleopatra, because
It won't go any further, and it's
okay,
just
yeah,
us. It's just
not until the 25th, and then
yeah,
it can come out. But yeah,
yeah. But would you like to hear and talk about each one?
well, they both start with please.
Yeah, please don't. Please
I
don't.
know. Please don't, and please don't touch.
Right.
They both start with please don't. So please don't is a Chris Spedding song.
Oh, okay.
And he wrote it about his girlfriend. It's a pretty sad song, I think it was she was she did drugs and stuff, and she I think she didn't make it. She
Oh
died.
man.
So
So yeah, this
uh,
is you can
so
hear it in his voice on that, man.
yeah, yeah, it's really it was I don't think it's it's maybe not he thought it was the best song on the record. I didn't think
Wow.
so. There was
Wow.
other songs that I thought were better, but
Yeah.
he definitely, it was him really. You can really feel the emotion, I mean, because sometimes he can come across kind of cold and harsh, but really, I knew the guy. He was a lovely guy and very, very soulful, and not afraid to show his emotions.
Yeah.
Um,
And then Please Don't Touch is an old Johnny Kid and the Pirates song.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's funny. But the Bill wanted that one because just listen. He sings the background part, and it is amazing.
Yeah.
I never got tired of listening to it. I'm like, holy cow! You hit those really low notes like a sledgehammer. Wow. Yeah.
Well, let's listen to these two, and
Yeah.
and if you can hang for a few, we'll
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
talk a little
Sure.
bit more after that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Both of them.
Yeah, and somebody asked who was playing the piano in that other one that was Spedding. Actually, Spedding plays quite a bit of piano on this record. So
Sounded good,
yeah,
man.
actually, he had these tapes, so he sent them to me, and then Robert came and he was doing background vocals and stuff. We added some parts, and I did some percussion. I got to sing on one song
Wow.
background, and it was sort of by mistake because he's trying to sing it and he's like, damn, it doesn't sound right. I said, well, maybe if you sing it like this, like do instead of taking a breath, do a whole extended thing. So I sang it, and he goes, yeah, like that here. And he sang the harmony part to it, but and I said, do you want to redo my part? He goes, it's probably good enough. Then later he said, you sang on that? I said, yeah, you said I could do, I was honored.
That's fantastic. And now you play all the drums.
No, I don't play any drums on this.
Oh, really? But you mixed this. You mixed this all.
I mixed it. Yeah, I mixed it, and
Sing a little.
So Spedding was in UK, so he would send me parts.
Oh.
So that's what happened, and then I would I would fly them into the track, and sometimes they didn't quite fit, so I would move things around, and just to make it fit right, or Robert would say, I love this part, but I hate that part. So I would say, okay, Chris, we do the, from this part to that part, this bar to that bar, he wants a different thing there, and I would try and translate, what Robert was talking about into like musician language, do some double stops, like a Chuck Berry thing, and he'd go, oh yeah. So, it was very cool working with, close. I've worked closely with Robert before, but I not really worked that closely with Chris. So that was fun.
Yeah. God.
Yeah.
What
it
a
was really
combo.
good.
I mean, those guys, when they hooked up, I don't think there was ever a better combination in rock.
Yeah. Danny Gatton is probably the best guitar player that he played with, but Spedding is actually better for him.
Yeah.
He's got a sensitivity that is really amazing.
Right. I always heard that Robert kind of thought that Danny Gatton overplayed, but he was a burner. That's what Danny Gatton could go like crazy. Whereas Chris's specialty has always been, I'm the guy that accents the song.
Plays the perfect part at the perfect time. So
now, are you considered the producer on the new record also, or?
I think he has me as a production assistant or something. I don't know, because I wasn't there for the recording of the basic tracks. That all happened. There are a couple tracks that I was there, but I wasn't the producer. I was just, it was me and Mark Barkin, the other guy that wrote some of these songs with him.
Well, man, thank you for letting us premiere those songs, because that's just something I can't wait to hear the rest of the record. I just never forget that. I've listened to it probably 3-4 times since his passing the other day, but he was so excited during that interview that I did a year ago when I asked him about the new record. He's like, "Oh man, this record is different. It's got a neat sound," and he was just glowing. Talking about it at that point. So he first contacted me to get involved with the thing when he was doing Rockabilly for Life, and he didn't like the order that the record company had was going to put the record in. So I started writing because I'd been working with ironically with this guy Don Falcone, who does this kind of Hawkwind kind of thing, so Nick Turner, I've been, for about almost 10 years, I've been working with Nick Turner and Don Falcone, and they got signed to Cleopatra. So I knew the guys already at Cleopatra. So
he wanted me to intercede on his behalf. No, he isn't crazy. He's just very, picky about how he wants things.
That's nice. And that's great. He had you in that moment to be able to do that.
And really, the fact of the matter is, Robert was sick for quite a while. He had a heart operation, and I saw him right before the heart operation, and I went, oh my God, he looked so bad. I was like, Robert, what's the matter? And he says, my heart is messed up. I got to have some sort of they did some stents first, and that didn't really work that well. And then they had a heart valve replacement, and then he, all of a sudden, he looked good again. He started making sense, but
that was about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But
when we played those gigs, it was difficult for him. His hearing was going, so his hearing aids weren't adjusted right. He said, I don't like to wear them because they're all messed up. I said, you go back to your audiologist. And I fortunately I don't have to use them yet, but a lot of my friends do. A lot of other musicians have hearing aids, and it's just a matter. It's just if you want to keep going, you got to be able to hear.
Yeah, and it's all, like you say, probably just really comes down to a lot of adjustment and things like that.
Yeah, well, he got it straightened out eventually. He just, I don't know that he was advocating for himself that much, in the beginning. So, and but I have to say, in the past 2 years, I've gotten really close to him.
Yeah, I guess so.
I spent 7 days with him in the hospital, in the past 2 weeks. I didn't go every day because they had a limit on how many people could come, and I was sort of, they said, Howard, can you not come today?
Oh, man.
I said, okay, yeah, I'll take a break. But it was great because I went to cheer him up and he ended up cheering me up.
Oh, man.
It was real. He was making me laugh. Oh my God, he was so funny.
Oh, God.
He's like, Al, how's your love life? I said, I don't know. I fell in love with this girl. He goes, what the hell did you do that for?
mess everything up with love.
You're too old for that shit, man.
Oh, man.
I said, I know. He said, don't worry. It's a temporary condition.
Well, I think we're going to have later on, I think Steve Conte said he's going to show up. And Bill's doing a gig tonight, Bill Moser. So
he said he was going to show up, but
probably late. He'll be here late. Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, I had to get up early. I had to go to the Long Island Music Hall of Fame. I donated some drums to them. So,
wow.
So I got out there in the drivetrain, and my car started bouncing against the floor of it, and I'm like, oh my God, no, what's happening? So I had to get my car fixed, and oh my God, it's been an ordeal. I just got back like a little while ago.
Oh my
God. I
God.
sent you those tracks. That was when I got back.
Albert, I just want to say thank you so much. And let's have you back at the show, and let's talk about Imaginos, because this has been a lifetime obsession of yours.
Hey, there's Steve.
Steve just showed up. Mr. Conte, glad you're here. We're talking to Albert Bouchard. Let me bring Steve in with you so you guys can say hi to each other.
Yeah, man.
Come on in.
I haven't seen you in a while.
Come on in.
Yeah.
Come on in and say hi. You're not in yet. You haven't unmuted yourself, Steve.
Yeah, you gotta
unmute.
Unmute.
There you go.
All right. Here we go.
How are you, buddy?
Hey, good. Good to see everybody.
So
Albert, I drive by your apartment every day.
Oh, wow.
And I think of you. So.
Well, I was just saying to Albert that we got to have him back on the show to talk about the Imaginos, just crazy. What is it? It's 3 albums, really.
Yeah. Well, I'm working on the last one. Hey, Steve, you around?
I am. And yes.
I might need some guitar on a song or two.
Oh yeah, please call me.
Yeah.
Right.
I would do
Get
that.
them lined up right here on KMiC Radio, people.
Look at that.
Yeah.
You see how it happens, folks? Everything happens right here.
Well, thank you, Albert, so much. Thank you so much for being here. And I like you say, you've had a long day. I'm even just blown away that you were able to make it, man. And thank you for letting us premiere the songs.
Yeah.
It's going to be one hell of an album.
Did I miss some songs with Robert?
We premiered 2 songs off of the new Hellified.
Yeah, I think you heard him in Bill's car.
I probably did. Yeah, Robert.
On the way to a gig, I think he played it like maybe 5 or 6 times.
I love it.
I was just thinking today, I have to go buy the album. Where can you get it?
It's just available. Yeah,
it's not out yet. November 25th.
It's like pre-orders, right?
Pre-orders, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll do it eventually, or maybe it'll be on Apple Music, or
yeah.
Oh yeah, it'll definitely be that.
But I'd like to buy it anyway and support support the man, and his widow now.
Yeah,
that's where it's at.
Yeah.
Thank you, Albert, for being here tonight. We appreciate it.
Thank
You're
you,
the
Mick.
best. I will get in touch. We will do a whole show with you soon.
Okay, sounds great.
Thanks a lot, buddy. Everybody,
See you
ladies
guys.
and gentlemen,
Call me, brother.
Albert Bouchard. Woo! What a man. Thank you. Now, to our next guest, Steve Conte. So great for you to be here tonight. Thank you. I know you just got back from, where were you? Sweden?
Finland.
Finland with Mr. Michael Monroe. Those shows looked like they went fantastic, huh?
Yeah, they were really fun. We played the ice hockey arena there in Helsinki.
How many people was that?
The last show we did.
What kind of crowd was that?
It was Michael's 60th birthday, and it was actually on my birthday.
Oh
so
my God! How many people? How many people?
About 8,000. Sold out. The arena was sold out. It was a Hanoi Rocks reunion. The original guys, everybody who's still, it's everybody who's alive. The Razzle drummer was the only one who died. But they haven't played together in, 40 years or something.
Jeez.
And we did all the different versions of the Monroe band, and he had guests, and it was fun.
I saw a couple of the clips. It just looked like a blast, man.
Yeah, and it's funny because I was just seeing. I remember Robert, would go over to Finland all the time, and I'd say, "Man, call me up because I'm always over there. Maybe I can stay behind an extra week or go in a week early and play with you." But I just saw some videos somebody posted of a Helsinki gig that they did, I guess.
Wow.
A year or 2 ago.
Yeah.
I don't know what players he used over there, but it was nice to see that he was playing Finland.
Yeah. So I was just saying to Albert that it's 1 year ago tomorrow at this same time that I first met you when you guys were doing a gig together.
In Piermont.
Yeah, was that upstate? Or
Piermont,
something?
New York. Yeah, anybody know the name of that club in Piermont?
A lot of West Coasters out here.
It's a very famous club around this area. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
But that's just crazy. It was a year ago tomorrow at about this exact same time when I first met you there. So.
Jeez, man.
Yeah.
Time is flying, and I mean.
So give us your favorite memory of the man, of doing gigs with him.
Wow, well, it's a whole story. It goes back. I only did my first gigs with him like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But I've known Robert since the 90s.
Wow.
So here's the story. I'll try and give you the short version so I don't bore you folks.
No, you won't.
But back in the 90s, early 90s, I used to see Robert and Chris and Rob Stoner, Bobby Chenard, Chris Spedding, Robert.
The band.
That band. They would play the Lone Star Roadhouse. They would play Tramps. They would play The Bottom Line. I would religiously see them every gig.
And they played the Lone Star like that was a religious gig. They played there a lot. Right?
Yeah, that was the old Lone Star. But they played the new Lone Star quite a bit, which didn't last very long. I used to play there with my band, the Hudson Riverheads. But that's where I used to see them. I don't think I ever saw them at the old Tramps on 15th Street. Mm-hmm. But, not Tramps, Lone Star. So I used to see them every week, and I was really into Chris's playing. And one day I was coming out of my rehearsal room, my studio, and there's a freaking ad, like, a little 8x10 piece of paper with a cartoon of Chris Spedding's face, and it said, guitar lessons with Chris Spedding. I was like, what?
Wow.
I snatched the whole paper, and I brought it home with me, and I said, I'm gonna call him, and I called him, and I told him, who I was, blah blah blah, and I went. We had a lesson, and then after that, it would be like, I would just call him up, and he'd say, hey, come on over, you busy? And we'd just start jamming, and we
my
became
God.
friends, and and then he recommended me for Robert. So
Yeah.
long story short, he recommended me for Robert's band to take his place when he couldn't do a tour. I don't remember who he was playing with back in the early '90s there, but he couldn't make something, and but for some reason I couldn't do it, and I really regret, or I chose not to do it. Um, it was like 6 weeks in a van in Europe with Bobby Chenard, Rob Stoner, Robert Gordon, and they were at the height of their, and I was like, I don't know, do I want to be in a
Do I wanna
van
do that?
in Germany for 6 weeks with these maniacs? Now I regret it, of course. I wish I
Yeah.
had done it, but I did go down and play with them. I went to Stoner's house. He was like, "Come on, man, what do you got that's hot?" He was like auditioning me.
I almost got him here tonight, but he was like really burnt out because he had done lessons himself all day. So
Oh yeah,
almost, he's going to be on the show soon.
yeah. Rob's great. So I went and jammed with Rob Stoner first, and then we set up a rehearsal. And I had known Bobby Chenard. I'd played with him with Billy Squire and a bunch of other situations.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I played with the band. It felt great. It was so great. I was really bummed that I didn't. I mean, especially now, I'm
Yeah.
bummed that I didn't go. And then decades went by, and I got a record deal with my band or whatever, and joined the Dolls and went with Willie DeVille and this one and that one. And over the years, I think, he maybe called a couple times and I couldn't do it. And finally, like, schedules aligned in 2019. And we did, I think the first gig we did was a little bar up in Pleasantville, New York. And then we did a festival. We did probably about we did this crazy car show in Long Island
Wow.
with these like antique, or not antique,
Hot
but
rod show, like a hot rod show.
yeah, but like some crazy like $500,000 or $1 million cars, just
God.
insane, and Ron Delsner, the promoter, big promoter here, he championed Robert, and he would get us that gig every year. I've done it a couple times with Tony Garnier, and the first time was with Tommy Price on drums and Tony Garnier and me and Robert. Then the second time was with Albert Bouchard and Tony Garnier, and so we did like a handful of gigs, and then the pandemic hit, and that was it. For 2 years, Robert was calling me, going, "Hey man, I don't know what to do."
Gosh.
Like, yeah, you and me both, man, and every musician
Every musician.
in America. And then things started to lift. Like last year, we got back to it, and we did a bunch more. We didn't do any more festivals, but club gigs, and I can't think of one gig that stands out. I just remember, it was really. If anybody has seen a Robert Gordon sound check, you know what I'm about to say. I mean, the gig was a blast, except for the sound check, because Robert was so hard on the sound guys. He would be like, "Man, where'd you get this sound system? Kmart?" Throw the mic down.
Well, Albert was also telling us that through that last tour there, he was having a hard time with his hearing aids, and he was also having a hard time just after having the heart surgery and stuff too. It was tough.
I mean, what a hand to get dealt, though. You just get over a quadruple bypass or whatever it was that he had. He was just, getting his strength back, and then bam, he gets the diagnosis of what he got, man.
Yeah, I mean, like I've said, the only positive thing you can say is he didn't. I mean, that kind of thing can just drag for years, and it can. At least he was able to pass.
quickly.
Not as quickly. I mean, I don't know if it was the perfect time or what, but at least it wasn't. It didn't drag on forever for the poor guy, man. Because it can be terrible. It can be terrible.
Well, I forgot because I forgot how fast leukemia can take somebody because when I joined the New York Dolls, it was David Johansen, Sylvain, and Arthur Killer Kane, the original bass player. Those were the three original guys. And after we played our first reunion show at the Royal Festival Hall in London, we did those shows, and then we went home, and Arthur got sick. He thought he had the flu, and they told him he couldn't fly. So my brother filled in for him. We did a gig with Morrissey in the UK, and came back, and we were mixing this live album, and I got a call from the manager. Arthur has leukemia, and they told him yesterday, and today he died.
Oh my God!
Like, bam. So about Robert, I knew Bill called me like a month ago, and said, Robert's got leukemia. I was like, fuck. And I said, oh man, I got to call him. And, I kept putting it off. And, Bill told me Robert told him it was like, a year or 2 years or 6 months to a year. And I was like, all right, well, I can at least, wait a couple weeks, and I don't bother him right away. And, Tish and Snooki, they called the other day to say, oh, Robert's in hospice. I was like, hospice? Boy, this is going fast. And the next day I was like, I should probably go to hospice and see him. And then the next day they called and said, that's it, too late. So yeah, I have some regrets about that.
I can imagine, man. I mean, we were talking earlier, I mean, he was such a unique soul. He made his mark on the music industry so intensely. People say he was a rockabilly guy, but to whatever he did, it became Robert Gordon, man, more than it was rockabilly to me. It was more just Robert Gordon music when he got a hold of it, man.
He's one of those characters like a Willie DeVille, like a Johnny Thunders, like that strong, 70s New York personality, even though he's from Baltimore.
Yeah.
And Willie was from Connecticut, and Johansson was from Staten Island, you know what I mean? But they all had this Lower East Side kind of like Manhattan kind of vibe that, the people from that era had, that attitude and that swagger and that, style and of dress and just like knowing who the fuck they are,
Yeah.
And, it made him not the easiest guy to deal with sometimes.
Yep.
But when the man opened his mouth, man, he used to say to me all the time, "How does it feel to play with a real singer?"
Oh yeah, wow.
Because he knew I was in the Dolls, he would be down on Johansson. I would be like, Johansson's not the only singer I ever played with.
That's right.
Willie DeVille's not too shabby, and
Willie DeVille, man, was a hell of a.
Yeah, and neither was Phoebe Snow, who I used to play with. She was like my vocal mentor.
My God.
So, but Robert could be like that. He could be like, very competitive,
Yeah.
But, nobody sang like him.
He was unique. He was unique.
Yeah, nobody, I mean, there are other rockabilly guys, but, I mean, he lived it. It was not put on at all. Yeah. It was not like...
Well, from what I've read about him, 9 years old, he heard Heartbreak Hotel and he knew what he wanted to do. That's all it took. He was 9, so he was an old soul. Boom, from the when he heard Elvis, he was like, that's me. I want to do that.
Yeah.
Freaking crazy, man. Wow.
I've been doing other work and enjoying listening. I don't think I heard. Now that was the Tough Darts version of All for the Love of Rock and Roll.
Yeah.
That's like huger sounding than I remember.
Yeah, well, there's a live version on this live at the CBGB that most people hear, but I think
that's the one I heard before.
Yeah, this is off of a record that he put out later It's called.
Yeah, but it's a Robert record, right? Or is it a Tough Darts record?
No, it's a Robert record. Yeah, it's
Oh,
called
that's what I thought. Okay.
called All for the Love of Rock and Roll, and
All right.
it's old recordings. I'm pretty sure it's like Tough Darts demos. I think.
No, because I Googled it while you were
Oh.
playing it, and it's Bobby Chenard who
Okay.
played with Robert, that I play with Squire, and
Okay.
you know,
So the only
he's a real rock. You could tell it's a real rock drummer.
right the only
No, he was like the Bonham of New York.
yeah.
you know?
So the only real Tough Darts with Robert Gordon recordings are those 2-3 songs that are on
Yeah.
live at the CBGB.
Yeah, he never made it to the studio album. They did one album.
Yep.
That's it, and it was that guy Jeff Salen, I think,
Yeah,
was the
which
singer.
which I love that record. I was into it when I was 16.
I
loved it.
Yeah, I like Your Love Is Like a Nuclear Waste.
Your body's a danger to the human race.
They should stand contaminated right across
Cross your face. Your love. Oh, I love that song, man. That's the best.
Yeah.
That's the best put down song in history ever, man. I think.
But that other song you played is the same kind of lyric.
Yeah,
I'd
that
rather
yeah.
slit my
slash.
throat.
Cut my
Yeah,
slash
yeah.
my wrists or cut my throat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that Robert or is that a Tough Darts?
That's Robert singing on that one too. But that one was on the Tough Darts record too.
Okay, so Robert just remade these songs later.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. Because I
Love
went
it.
to Apple Music and got It's All for the Love of Rock and Roll while we were.
Yeah, and Love and Trouble is also on the Tough Darts album without Robert. Yeah, all three of those songs are where we or it's just really messy. It's messy.
Yeah, it's messy out there. But
Oh, man.
the man left us a lot of great music, and
He left us a lot, man. I mean, there's a ton of music. I even have a couple rarities here to play later of the Confidentials, one of his first bands when he was 17.
don't know it.
Yeah, I had never heard it either, too. But he had a band when he was 17 years old called the Confidentials, and so I'm gonna play that. And then there's one that I think he's doing "Try Me." I think the James Brown song, really early when he was like 17 too. Really cool, rare stuff, man. But yeah, there's so much great stuff, and I mean, like I say, when I found out about him when I was 16 years old, it was just I thought it was the hippest thing ever. Link Ray, man.
Yeah, well,
Robert-
I wish I had seen him with Link. I never saw him with Link or Danny, just Chris, but that was enough.
Yeah.
When I saw him with Chris, I was like,
Yep.
this is, because I love so many different kinds of music, but Chris to me is like one of the ultimate guitar players because he loves all the kinds of music that I love. This is just a personal reason why I love him, but he's really good at all of them. Early rock and roll, punk, and jazz,
Yep.
and he can swing, and he knows jazz harmony, but he plays it with attitude and feel and blues, and that's what I always aspired to do. So when I heard him, I was like, that's my man. I love Jeff Beck,
Oh yeah.
but as far as Jeff's a great lead player. You don't really think of Jeff playing, rhythm and groovy parts. You think about his single line stuff, But Chris, he's a rhythm. He's a great parts player. His parts are so good. I remember seeing him. If I can bore you with a story about it, one time I saw them at the Bottom Line, and they did 2 shows in a row, right? And it was Bobby Chenard, Rob Stoner, Chris, and Robert. And this is when I was first starting to hang out with Chris, and I saw one show, and Chris blew my mind. The solos were like, oh my God, they were so perfect and just unbelievable. I'd never heard anything like it. It was like, we'd go from, a single note to a little chord to 2 notes. It was just like they seemed so crafted, but yet so spontaneous and free at the same time. And I thought, man, this guy, he's ridiculous. And I thought, I'm going to go home, I'm going to quit, And then I said, wait, I'm going to see this second show. And I saw the second show, and he played the exact same solos. I was like, oh, shit. So, he's not leaving. And the next time that we got together, I said, Chris, I noticed that, on the Robert gig the other night, I saw both shows, and you played the solos were exactly the same. He goes, yeah, well, I figure, people are paying $20. I want to give them their money's worth. I don't want to take any chances, And
I love it.
that wasn't supposed to be a Chris Spedding accent, by the way.
Oh man, yeah.
But
I mean,
fucking oh, can I say that on your radio show?
Oh, you can say fucking anything on this radio.
Oh, fucking goddamn it! All right.
Well, Chris might have been here tonight, but he is in England and he has to get up at like 6 o'clock in the morning to be on my show. So it's like I never give him a hard time when I ask him to be on because he is my rock and roll hero. Also, I have to. You're preaching to the choir with me, and also Will here, Will Van Hansel. Me and him met because of our love for Chris Spedding.
Which one is Will?
Will is the guy, or I don't know.
The hat?
No, with the plaid shirt.
Plaid shirt. Oh,
hey,
all right.
Will is a badass guitar player too, man. I should get you.
I saw him messing with a guitar there.
I should get you guys in touch with each other, man.
Yeah. What do you got there, Will?
Show him your guitar, Will. Let me bring you in.
The closest guitar to me in the room is my 65 Melody Maker.
Will, you want to come in and talk to him? Come on in. Or do you have a mic?
With a Bigsby.
Oh yeah, that's a nice one. Wow. My favorite Chris Spedding story I've told here before is I'm 16 years old and I'm waiting out in front of the nightclub for him and Robert Gordon to show up so I can get my album autographed. And a car speeds up, boom, in front of the door, and the door flies open, and Chris Spedding falls out on the sidewalk. And I mean, boom, hits the sidewalk. And my jaw just drops, and I don't know what to do. And the roadie walks up and grabs him and pulls him and I'm just standing there with my jaw dropped. And he picks him up, and I have my album held up like this with a Sharpie, and he grabs the Sharpie and goes right up the guitar on the Hurt album. There's guitars.
Oh yeah.
So he writes his scribbles right up the thing and runs into the place. I don't even talk to him. And the guy at the door goes, "I'm sorry, he probably won't be able to play tonight, man. He's taking some kind of Quaaludes and he's drinking and he's in trouble." And I was just destroyed. Go into the club, and there's a pole in the middle of the stage, a physical pole in the middle of the stage. So,
what is this, the whiskey?
No, this is in Berkeley, California. This is at Berkeley corner, or Keystone Corner is what it was. And he leaned up against that pole the whole night. But you closed your eyes. You could not even tell that anything was wrong at all. But he did not move off of that pole. And at one point, this is the best part. At one point, they're doing Flying Saucer Rock and Roll, and Robert's vocal mic goes out. So it's like Flying Saucer Rock and Roll, rock, and his mic goes out. And Chris it's just this guitar solo. I have it on tape somewhere where it's just like a Flying Saucer crazy space guitar solo. While Robert's running around hollering, like you said, if that happens to Robert, you know what's going to happen, He's hollering at everybody, and everybody's running all over the stage, and this guitar solo goes on for 3 minutes or whatever. And finally, the mic gets plugged in right at the right point, and he's back in Flying Saucer Rock and Roll. So if you listen to the recording, it just sounds like a crazy-ass long version of Flying Saucer Rock and Roll, but really it was. Will, I'd like to introduce you to Steve Conte, Will Van Hansolo.
Steve, good to meet you. Is this microphone on?
Yes,
hey,
it is.
Man, yeah, it's on. I hear you.
Will is a badass player, and he's got some really cool guitars too. What are you playing?
Well, yeah, I've been screwing around. I got to play an 80s cover gig tomorrow, so all my guitars with the locking bridges are out. I've spent all night changing strings, but I figured Steve would like this. I don't know how well it shows up on the camera. It's my old Junior.
Look at that.
Is that a 60 or 59?
59 with a black pickguard on it.
You know what? I bought a 59, the same exact one from Chris.
I heard about this story. That's an unbelievable guitar to have. You were taking the lessons with him at the time you bought that, or around then?
Yeah, it was
90s.
Yeah, it was early 90s. I think I took like one lesson that I actually paid for, and then after that we just hung out.
Jamming.
We smoked cigarettes and watched Thelonious Monk videos, listened to, watched Peter Frampton videos and, Miles Davis records and jammed.
Oh, to be a fly on the wall for that. Holy
yeah. Oh, was a blast, man. But actually, the guitar belonged to his girlfriend at the time. This girl Claudia,
Yeah.
this redhead. Do you remember Claudia? I don't know if you
I
remember.
I know of her. Yeah.
I think she passed.
Yeah.
But
The new song on the new album called what was it called again? Don't. I think it's called Don't or something like that. Is written about Chris. It's a Chris song, and he wrote it about Claudia.
oh really?
Robert performs it. Yeah, it's pretty touching.
Oh wow. Well, yeah, this guitar was hers. But
Wow.
Chris brokered the deal. So I say I got it from Chris, but belonged to Claudia.
Because I thought he played a single cutaway one.
Yeah, he played a tobacco at that time. He was playing a tobacco burst, single P90, special. No, was it special? Yeah, special.
Yeah, I just love the sounds he gets out of that. That's part of he and Thunders and all those guys. It's like that single pickup thing into a cranked up Fender amp is like the best guitar sound ever.
Yeah, I know. No, it's not a special. It's a junior. The specials have two P90s.
Oh
It's
yeah.
had one P90, so it's just a single cutaway special is what he had. Tobacco burst.
Yeah.
They have really clubby necks. There's like a '50s guitar, like
Oh yeah, you
probably
just
mid '50s, I would say that guitar was.
yeah, and he used to take the pick guards off of them, and they always had that like hot rod kind of look to them when he would play them.
He would play with, I would think sometimes it was just a rental amp, whatever amp happened to be in the house. Like, I saw him once play on like a crappy Yamaha, like
seen clips of that.
transistor amp, like no, not even a tube amp. And I don't know how he got a sound out of it, but he didn't have any pedals. I don't even think a tuner. Maybe he had a tuner, but just his fingers and his volume and tone knobs.
He's magic. He's magic. That guy, man.
It's ridiculous, man.
There's something to be said, I think, for coming up in that old school. Like he came up playing with like whatever guitars and whatever cobbled together amps in the '60s he could get his hands on. And it's like, how do you do anything but just get the sound out of your hands? It's like, the idea of, I love the story of him when playing with Leslie West, and Leslie's playing through those 3 stacks, and Chris has got the little, probably Fender or something, and Leslie comes over, hey, can you turn down? I can't hear myself.
Too much, man.
Oh my god.
So, well, I'm glad I connected you guys.
Yeah, look me up, Will.
Yeah,
just
I want-
give me your whatever, or I'm on all the usual
You
I
guys
think I-
should.
channels.
I
Just
think I've got you on my Facebook there. I got a page out, but yeah, we'll yak.
you look familiar. Your face looks familiar to me, so maybe I've seen you around the old Facebook neighborhood.
He's up in Nova Scotia.
I know I can hear the Canadian accent. I didn't want to try and guess where, eh?
Hey.
Yeah.
Thank you, Will, for being here. I'm glad you were able to show up. Good luck at your gigs tomorrow.
Thanks, man. Yeah, and rest in peace, Robert Gordon.
Yes, we got
Yeah.
more. We got more from him, man. Thank you, Will. So, Steve, what's your next projects you're working on?
I'm working on new songs for my next solo record,
All right.
which will be coming out again on Wicked Cool Records, Little Steven's label.
Yes.
Um,
Your last one is fabulous, man.
oh,
Wow.
thank you. It's called Bronx Cheer for those of you
Yes.
guys who don't know, and it's everywhere. It's on all your usual platforms, your Spotify's and Apples and Amazons and YouTubes and whatever. It's in some record stores too. If you're, somebody just sent me a photo from Amoeba Records in LA, and it was like right in the front of the display of the C's. So,
Well, I mean,
Oh, it's in some stores, too.
That album cover is a good record to put out in front because it's
It is.
it's a cool image, man. That is a great image on that record.
thank you. Yeah, so I've been writing. I've been writing with some different folks. I haven't announced it yet, so I'm gonna keep it under wraps. But
Okay.
one of my songwriting heroes I've written some songs with.
Oh boy.
And I just finished a track with Brian Ray, the guitar player with Paul McCartney.
Yeah, great player. Man.
Yeah, he's been with Paul like 15 years, and we met, through Wicked Cool. He had some singles on Wicked Cool when I did, and then we wrote a song together a couple years ago for his record, and then we just wrote 2 more together and went into Little Steven's studio and recorded them.
Nice.
Again with Charlie Drayton on drums and my brother on bass, like we had on my record.
Very cool.
And that's really grooving.
I
Yeah.
can't wait. Well, when you get it out, come back to KMiC and we'll premiere it here, or at least play it. At least play it.
You'll know all about it. Believe me.
Yeah. Thank you, Steve.
All right. Well, thanks for having me. And
We love you. We
know,
love you here at KMiC, man.
Once again, well, thanks everybody. And I'm gonna miss Robert a lot.
And we have a lot.
In closing, like New York's just not gonna be the same without him. It's like synonymous. New York, Robert Gordon.
Yeah.
You think, I'm walking down Broadway on the Upper West Side. I think, any minute I could run into Robert. Weird thing is, that's life. It's gonna happen to everybody.
Yeah, we got a lot of great music to remember him by, though.
Yeah.
That's the nice thing. That is the nice thing right there. We can remember him forever, and he will live on forever because of it, man.
Yeah.
Thank you, buddy.
All right, y'all. Have a great night.
Woo! Take it easy.
See you. Come and find me on all the various platforms and leave me a message and
Will do.
check out some music. All right.
See you, man. So, seeing what we're talking about, Chris Spedding, let's listen to a couple cuts with Robert Gordon and Chris Spedding. How are you? Oh my God, you're crazy. You got up way too early.
I just happened to wake up, like when you get to a certain age, you get up in the middle of the night.
And you know I love you, and I just want to say, gosh, this guy was your brother.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Oh yeah. Thanks for doing this, Mick.
We've been having fun. We had Albert Bouchard here earlier. We had Steve Conte, who was talking.
Oh, yeah.
Your ears might have been burning when Steve Conte was here, because he was telling stories of hanging out with you when he wanted to come get a guitar lesson, and then
That's right. I gave him a couple of guitar lessons.
And then you guys just kind of hung out and listened to Monk and Miles Davis and shit after that, man.
Yeah. Steve's come along pretty good.
Oh man,
he was a good man. Well, he still is.
So, when did you first meet Robert?
You just went mute.
Oh, you didn't hear me?
How did you just what?
Did you mute me?
No, I lost you a couple of syllables there.
Oh, okay. I asked, how did you first meet Robert?
Well, Richard Goddard called me up when I was still in the UK, still in London. He said that he and Link had been doing my song Wild Wild Women live on stage, which was a surprise to me. And did I want to come by and maybe help them in the studio if they wanted to record it? So that was the original approach from Richard.
Wow.
So I said, and I had just decided that it would be nice for me to go and check out New York because I'd just done a world tour with Brian Ferry. We ended up in New York. I spent a couple of weeks there. I thought, this is a place I'd like to move.
Yeah.
And I was sort of thinking of, and this would be like a way. Well, it's nice if you arrive in a town and you have some work and you have some people. Richard called me back a couple of days later and he said, "Well, actually, Chris, I think Robert and Link are going to split up, and there's a gig there if you want it." So I thought, well, this is getting better and better.
Wow. A perfect reason to move to New York, right?
So I moved to New York knowing that I had a gig,
Oh.
but I'd never met Robert at that point.
Wow.
I moved over there, flew over there. I got put in a hotel and I met Robert. And I think one of the first things he said to me, he says, "I hope you can play this rockabilly stuff, Chris." And of course, we didn't call it rockabilly. In those days, we're talking about 1978. The music that came out of America in the late 50s with Elvis and Eddie Cochran and Gene Vincent and Little Richard, we didn't call that rockabilly. We called it rock and roll.
Yeah.
I think people still do, but now rockabilly has become a genre. And when he explained to me that it was like the early Elvis stuff, I said, "Oh, I could do that. Scotty Moore, yeah, he's my big hero." Because when I first started playing, I was listening to Scotty Moore and trying to play all his solos and everything. So that was that worked out well.
Yeah, and Bill Haley and just about everybody else. You were nailing those solos, man. God.
Yeah. So that's it was a good time, and we got on pretty well musically, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was I keep saying it to each one of the people that have been on the show tonight, but when it was okay, he was a rockabilly guy, but when he did the song, it became Robert Gordon. It just became what he was. It was him, you know. It wasn't necessarily rockabilly, you know.
No, well, I was never at that point. I was in the middle of my sort of 70s rock style guitar session guy. So my sound really wasn't from that era. It was more of a contemporary sound, what we would call contemporary in 1970s. A sort of overdriven, sort of heavy sort of guitar sound. So I brought that sound to the rockabilly genre. So I think all the purists the rockabilly purists didn't really sort of go for that, which is all right, because they never really went for Robert's thing either, because we didn't always have the stand-up bass. We had but we didn't always have that. We had Rob Stoner on the bass guitar, which was sacrilege to a lot of the rockabilly guys. You know, we didn't care.
But I mean, heck, having Rob Stoner in the band was like, whoa! You had almost like another guitarist there. Really, I mean, he is a guitarist, but I mean, on bass, he's like something. Almost got him here tonight. He was like really worn out from doing.
Of course, to give Rob his due, he was a rockabilly specialist, all sort of sitting right there. He was already made. He knew all the stuff. He has an amazing knowledge and appreciation of that genre, as well as many other genres. But he was perfect for that role on that first record that I did, anyway.
Yeah, he was something.
The Rockabilly Boogie album. Yeah.
What a great record that is. Earlier in the evening, we had Albert Bouchard here, and he was kind enough to let us premiere 2 songs off the new Hellified record.
Oh, good! You're able to do that. That's good. I was wondering if you had actually had that.
And I tell you, man, we were all just blown away with these 2 songs. We heard "Please Don't," your song that you wrote, and we also heard "Please Don't Touch." And
all right.
Oh my God. Beautiful.
Yes, Robert was very excited about that album. At least
he really was. It's funny.
Was really about it.
I was telling them that it was kind of crazy, but 1 year ago tomorrow, I had Bill Moser was with them in New York, and they had just finished a show, and he had Albert, Robert, and Steve come on KMiC Radio, and I interviewed them all here 1 year ago tomorrow at this same time. And Robert was so excited about this record. He was just glowing about this record.
Yes. Well, when he's in the middle of doing something, he's always up about what he's doing at the moment. But this was actually quite an extra sort of excitement from him, because he felt it was a really great record. So at least he's gone out on a high.
Oh man, I can't wait to get it. I pre-ordered it the other day. But these recordings were recorded a few years ago, actually.
There are bits and bobs from like sort of which he found in a drawer somewhere. I don't know.
Wow.
I vaguely remember sort of playing on some of them, and some of them I didn't have guitar parts on, and he sent me the backing track, and I did a guitar part at home in my little studio here in England.
Wow.
So they were kind of put together, but of course, it doesn't sound put together like in that way.
Sounds
that's how we make music these days. You'll send me a backing track, and I'll put a guitar part on, and I'll email it back to you.
Yeah. Hey,
that's the way we. Otherwise, a lot of the time, these records wouldn't even get made, because we can't afford to get on a plane and go and meet in a studio somewhere.
Yeah, well, it's a pretty fantastic way to make it for somebody who necessarily, in this day and age, doesn't want to or can't get 3,000 miles across the ocean or whatever to a
Well,
session.
especially a lot of it was done in the middle of the pandemic when it wasn't easy to get around.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was. I'm really happy that we've got that record out. Well, we will have that record out very shortly.
Yeah, November.
And it's a good testament to what we did with what I personally did with Robert, and it's a good thing. Yeah.
Well, we've been playing a lot of your stuff with Robert tonight, and it's been
Okay.
God, we've been really enjoying it a lot. I mean, we just, like I say, we just did a Link set, but I mean, oh my God, we've been playing some great stuff. Great
well, it's
stuff.
good to hear that old stuff. I enjoyed that Link Race thing that you were just playing.
Yeah, that's a great record.
I can't remember if I'd heard that particular version before.
Yeah, that was from the Fresh Fish Special, which is the second album with Link that he made right before you came in.
Yeah. It's the second album we did. Yeah, I actually went out and I bought his first album, the one with Red Hot on it.
Oh God, we were talking about that, where Robert never sang like Red Hot or Flying Saucer Rock and Roll Again. That was just pushing his voice too hard.
Well, we used to, when we come off stage, we'd say, "Hey, they want an encore. They're crying for an encore. You got to do Red Hot, because it's his major hit that he had."
Yeah.
And he goes, "I ain't doing that, man." Yeah. No, man, you got to do it. You got to do it. Oh, all right. And they'll go on. He'll do a short version of it. But it's one of those strange things. Sometimes an artist doesn't want to do their big hit. Like Paul McCartney for a long time in Wings, he wouldn't do Beatles songs. Yeah. Now his show is nearly all Beatles.
It's not unusual at all, really. I mean,
it's quite common. And we could never understand it, because they love to hear just a few bars of Red Hot, but he wouldn't do it.
But his voice.
He did it quite often. We said, look, we got to go on and do something,
But in that studio versions of those two songs, his voice is so raw. And I just think that, no, he didn't want to push his voice like that because he really loved his clean.
Well, we can do it in a kind of key. We can take the key down a bit, which I think we did. Towards the latter part of Robert's career. It's always the same with these singers. I think I find it myself. You take the key down because it's kind of on your voice. You don't want to shoot your voice and make it so you can't sing at all. So you just take the key down a bit, and it's not quite so challenging.
Yeah. Hey, I wanted to play the song "Treat a Dog." You got anything you want to say about that song?
I don't know why we never did it in the studio. I brought the song to him. It was a Bobby Bland song.
Oh, I didn't know it was Bobby Bland.
Yes, it was a Bobby Bland song, which I loved. And I brought it to Robert, and he liked it because, well, Bobby Bland's a great singer. For another singer to sort of sing, and I thought it was a fantastic song as a songwriter. I thought, oh, this is great, this song. For some reason, we never got in the studio and cut a studio version of it. The only versions that exist are on the live version.
Wow! Even on this New Rose Story? That's on the New Rose Story?
The New Rose live album, it's on there.
Maybe that's what this is. You want to listen to it? Let's hear it, okay?
Yeah, I don't think we got a studio version of it.
I can't remember what this is.
Well, we never cut a studio version of Wild Wild Women, which was the original reason I got together with Robert in the first place.
Wow, that's a trip too. Yeah. Let's listen to this, and we'll come right back to you. I don't want to hold you too long. You're just up too early, man. You shouldn't be up this early.
I don't want to fall asleep in the middle of it. I'm in the middle of my sleep.
Man, one of my top 5 Robert Gordon songs, and one of my top 5 favorite solos of yours right there. That's a brilliant live recording, man.
Yep, that's the Lone Star must have been in the 80s sometime. Yeah.
We were talking with Conte about the Lone Star. You guys played there a lot, huh?
Played there a lot, yeah. It was a good venue. A tiny club. We were on the stage almost overlooking the bar, and there was a room for about 3 people in front of the stand. Yeah.
Wow.
I remember that. I think I went to see James Brown there.
Oh.
He had all his home players up the stairs. There wasn't room for them on the.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
On the stage, yeah. Jeez. It was a crazy club. Then they moved uptown to a different address, which was a bit bigger.
Yeah.
But still that old place down on 15th Street still had a lot of Memories. Yeah,
Is that
a lot of memories.
is that the club that Jesse Malin had something to do with? Was he co-owner of that place or something?
I'm not sure who the owners were.
I can't remember. I was just reading about something about the artist Jesse Malin having something to do
He
with
had this big lizard on the roof. This big,
Huh. Wow. So how are things going with you? Are you any projects you're working on or anything?
it's pretty quiet at the moment. And,
Yep.
I'm waiting for some stuff to come in. I do a few little sessions here,
Yeah.
playing guitar parts and sending them out. And,
But you're doing okay. You're feeling okay?
oh yeah, yeah.
Good. You look great, man.
What, for 5 o'clock in the morning?
I mean, you know me. I just love you so much, and I'm just so jazzed that you were able to even show up here today. And
Well, I found myself waking up as men of my age will often wake up in the middle of the night.
But also, do you know that I do mind meld? So I might have just mind melded.
Oh, you might have done, yeah.
And I woke you up.
If Steve Conte was talking about me.
Yes, your ears were burning. Oh God, that guy loves you. You know that, don't you?
Oh yeah, Steve.
He just was raving about you, and I'm sitting here like he didn't know that I'm a gigantic fan of yours too. So he's just going on about you, and I'm going,
oh, good old Steve.
You're going, Steve, you're kind of preaching to the choir here. I love the guy too.
All right. Well, look, I think I hear my bed calling me.
Thank you so much. You are the best.
Thank you for doing this for Robert.
Oh, Robert, we're going to miss him so much. And I mean,
yeah. Well, I'm going to miss standing on the stage next to that guy and playing. It was a big part of my life, and I'm going to miss it.
I got to send you a little file that I have when I'm first time I met you at the Phoenix Hotel in San Francisco. I interviewed you, and then after the interview, I have a recording of you organizing Robert, Bobby Chenard, Rob Stoner, and you to do a little kind of station ID for KSJS. So you go,
oh right.
So you organized them to do it, and you put it together, and I recorded it. I'll send you the file because it's just so sweet. It's so sweet. Thank you so much, man. We'll talk to you. Go back to bed. And
good night, everybody. Yep.
See ya. Love you, man. Man. I've said it before, and I'll just say it again. When I walk away from the show tonight, I will just say to myself, why are you so lucky that you get to talk to your guitar hero since you were 16 years old and he shows up on your goddamn stupid little show? What a man. We are just having a grand time here tonight. I'm going to bring in my final and wonderful guest, Mr. Bill Moser. Come on in and talk to us, my friend.
Hey.
How was your gig?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, how was your gig?
Oh, that was really good. They loved us. It was the first time we played this place, but they want us back, so.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Well, we've had a hell of a night, man. I wish you could have been here for the whole thing. Started off with Albert, came in.
Oh, he did. Good.
He talked to us for a while. We played 2 songs off of the new record, which were just wonderful.
Oh, man. Did he give you the one where he sings in that deep voice? Like he does.
Yeah.
Oh, man. What a song.
What is it again? Where's my songs here? Please don't touch. Don't touch me because you'll break it too much.
Yeah. Oh, I asked him to give you that one. Yeah.
And then also, please don't, which he wrote which Chris wrote.
Oh, Chris wrote a song on that record that Robert flipped over. He just was crazy about it. Yeah. And Robert, listen, people don't know, but this was this is the first album where Robert actually wrote anything.
Oh, there's songs that Robert wrote on this record.
4.
Wow.
2 of Chris's and 4 of Robert's, and Robert never wrote and recorded. He might have written, but he never recorded his own stuff. He just sang everybody else's, right?
Oh
so,
my God.
So anyway, you like playing music, and that's what you should be doing. I just wanted to like say something.
No, I'm not going to let you go that easy. You
No,
got
no,
to.
wait.
I
Like
want to hear
I've
about
been,
when. I want
I've
to
been,
hear
I've
about when
been,
you first
I've been
met
with this,
him.
I've been with this guy for 40 years, and that's Chris's fault because Robert wanted Chris, and Chris said, "I'll do it, but you're going to use my bass player and my drummer." And Robert said, "Okay, who's your bass player?" He said, "Tony Garnier," who Robert already knew because he worked with him before, and Anton.
Yeah.
And he said, "And you got to take my guitar guy," which was me. So like Robert didn't like being dictated to, but he had a bend for Spedding because he really wanted Chris,
And it was, you couldn't have we've talked about it tonight a lot. You couldn't have got a more perfect combination.
Oh no. That was the shows at the Lone Star are fucking legendary. There were lines around the block. People like outside just like to hear what they could. Tom Jones, Stevie Ray Vaughan, if you go on YouTube, he jumped up. I asked him, Robert wants you to come up and play.
Wow.
And he jumped up and played. I mean, it's endless, like the people at East Belushi, all these people. It was insane. And we were like blown out on Coke and Jack Daniels. But
those were ugly days, man.
The band, the crew, everybody, but the shows are legendary. Like people still talk about the Lone Star shows from the 70s and 80s,
Yeah.
So anyway.
We've talked a lot about how many shows they did at the Lone Star tonight.
It was crazy. And, other places too. But so here we go. I go and see him last week. I guess it's almost 2 weeks ago. Yeah, it is. 2 weeks ago, I saw him when he was in Mount Sinai. And my girlfriend, Elisa, walked in the room and said, "Hey, Robert." And he was kind of like, I guess, sleeping, but he woke up because he heard her voice. And he goes, "Oh, my God." He starts crying and he sees me. And he's just like, overjoyed because it was just family at that point. And then we walked in. So he's, he was up. He was kind of animated a bit, as much as you can be when you're dying, I guess. But he said, "Oh, man, I really want some shrimp and rice from this place by his house." So, the day went on, we left. And then the next morning I get a call. "You're bringing the shrimp and rice?" With that Robert Gordon voice, "You're bringing that shrimp and rice?" I said, "Yeah, we'll be there."
Oh, man.
So we actually stopped on the way up, and he sat up and wolfed it. He just ate it. So then that week there was a bunch of people going, like, you only allowed 5 visitors a day in that place. So we had to back off after that. So, and plus I was working, but then they moved them to the hospice, and we went up and saw him Saturday early, like 11 o'clock in the morning. We were already in the city. So, but it's like what I didn't want to see was he was just laying there and barely breathing and stuff, and definitely ready to die. So, we left. I said what I had to say to him. We just told him we loved him, and then we left. And then I heard he woke up Sunday when Anton went, and he was talking. Then he went back to sleep, and this is the weird part. So he wakes up Monday, and I was shocked that he made it past Saturday because he was really, I thought he was just in a coma. But he tells his wife, "I got to get in touch with Bill. So first she reaches out to me. I don't answer my phone because I'm at work. They call my girlfriend, and he tells her that he wrote a new song called "Heaven in Harlem," but it's something he wrote like a long time ago, but he's just out of it. So he goes, "All right, tell Bill to call me right away. So then they get in touch with me, and I call him, and his wife puts him on the phone. He goes, "Bill, it's Robert. I love you. Goodbye." And he hangs up the phone. And I said to my girlfriend, "He's going now." She said, "What do you mean?" I said, "In 40 years of talking to this guy on the phone, it was like, 'Hey, Bill, did you call that guy?'"
Yeah, it's always to the point, right?
Click. No goodbye. Never a goodbye.
Wow.
Never. And he said, "I love you. Goodbye. Like twice he said. I said, and everybody I spoke to said, "Yeah, you're right. He never says goodbye on the phone. He doesn't even say talk to you later. He just click." It's like, right? And she said he didn't speak to anybody after that. He passed away. So I was like the last person he spoke to. So, which was kind of neat because, like, I always wondered if he ever appreciated all the shit I did for him. But that was him doing that. You know what I mean? It's like, I got to make this one last call, you know? And he used to call me like 50 times a day. I was just like, oh, shit. You know, I guess I got to pick it up, you know?
Yeah.
But his last call.
It was always him calling you just to find out, hey, did you get that set up or whatever, right?
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, actually, in February it was bad because March or February he had this short-term memory loss, and so he would call me like every 5 minutes and tell me the same thing, and I would speak to other people who did the same thing too. But like, if you want to hear some funny shit, he would like get in the van and say, oh, I can't talk. I don't know if I'm going to be able to sing tonight. And the guy had anxiety. He really did. He was on medication for that, right? He would always say, I'm not going to be able to sing tonight. And like the whole way to the place, I'm not going to be able to sing tonight. You know? And then he'd get up there and put on a killer show. But he'd go, I can't talk. My voice is gone. I'm not going to be able to sing tonight. And then for like the next hour and a half, he's yak. Hey, Robert, I thought you weren't going to be able to sing. And he goes, yeah, you're right. He would shut up for a minute and a half and then blah, blah, blah.
He couldn't stop. He was just a talker too.
Yeah, right? He's so full of shit every time. I mean, if I did like 350 gigs with this guy, it was the same thing every time. He had anxiety before every gig. He was like, you know.
And that's the way he dealt with it. Where
crazy. He would get nuts. Like, I'm not going to be able to, you know, and get all us all worked up. And then the shows were killer all the time, you know. Man. So we do this show just before COVID shut us down. We were on the tour with Anton and Tommy Price, I think it was at that time, and Chris and Rob Stoner. And so he goes to Chris and me. He goes, "Come on over and let's have a cocktail." After we did the City Winery, right? And like a lot of the times when you're with him, he go, "Jesus Christ, where's my phone? Jesus Christ!" You know, he's like, you know, we know it's in the truck because we've been in there for 8 hours, and he had it, and nobody left. You know, so it's like, well, it's definitely in here, Robert. Don't worry about it. So now we're in a hotel room, and he goes, "Jesus Christ, where's my glasses?" And I'm looking at Chris. Chris looks at me. We just start laughing. He goes, "Do you want to tell him or should I?" No, they weren't on his head. They were on his face. He was wearing them.
Oh man!
But this was a normal day with Robert, you know. Another time, Chris had his amp up on a chair, you know. We're in this little place in Cafe 9 in Connecticut, and Robert comes up from the dressing room to do the sound check, and he looks at Chris. He goes, "That's too loud." And Chris, like in his normal British self, goes, "Well, you haven't heard it yet." He just fucking stopped and and he was right, you know. But that was Robert, you know. He was just like shooting from the lip, you know. So, anyway, it's really sad because we got to bury him Tuesday. We're going.
Oh man. Steve Conte's the one that's kind of chewed up because he kept telling himself, "Oh, I got to get in touch. I got to call Robert," and he never got to call him.
Well, you know why? That's why
he's really kind of chewed up about it.
Well, I would be too. But in a way, it's kind of weird because Robert like called him and said, "Man, I can't afford you," you know, only because he had a guy that would work for like $100 less, you know, which is kind of dumb, but. So then Robert says, "Call Conte." So I call Steve. I said, "Hey, Steve, I got this a gig coming up. You want to do it?" It's with Robert. It was like February. It was the last gig ever. And Steve goes, "Man, I did the Robert Gordon thing, and anyway, he fired me."
Ooh.
So I called Robert back. I said, "Hey, Robert, why did you have me call Steve Conte after you fired him?" He goes, "I did."
Oh, he didn't even remember.
No, oh God, he was so like he had this short-term memory loss thing. He's like telling me, get Albert Lee, the guy, get Jimmy Vaughn. I said, well, if he would leave the Eric Clapton tour, I could get him. You know, like he wanted a name player, you know.
Big,
He said, get what's his name? That guy, Earl Slick. I said, well, if you remember, you had to bring in Spedding because of Earl Slick, because he couldn't cut your gig. Chris had to take over.
Wow.
Oh, really? Like, he just didn't remember shit, And they said it's not Alzheimer's, it's not dementia, it's not any of that stuff. You just have some kind of inflammation,
God.
So they gave him some steroids. And I did the last gig with him in February, and then started putting together the tour with the Spedding, Fig, and Garnier lineup.
That was going to happen, yeah.
And then Chris had some issues with his
problem
and was told not to fly. And as it turns out, that was good because he developed some infections like sepsis. He was really sick for a bit, but now he's fine. But anyway,
man, he was.
So I had.
Let me tell you just that Chris was really animated and wonderful on the Zoom today. Oh my God, he was just. He woke up at like 5:30 or whatever to.
Wait a minute, you had him on today?
He was on right before you showed up.
All right. Well,
he's doing great. He's doing great.
He better answer the phone tomorrow because we're supposed to be on at 10:30.
He's got to sleep, man. Now he woke up for this thing.
No. Oh, actually, at 10:30 my time is like about 5:30 or 7.
Okay.
Yes, he'll be all right, I guess. But I said I got to talk to you.
Total surprise.
We're doing a tribute to Robert now with Anton and Tony and Chris, and I'm going to book Chris over here in the States for January, February.
Fantastic.
I want to get him some gigs. Anyway, thanks for doing this Robert Gordon thing.
You do realize that it was a year ago tomorrow, this same time, that I had all you guys from that after gig on your phone.
Oh, really? Yeah, I did.
1 year ago tomorrow.
Yeah, I did that. I made them get on the phone.
They were great. I met all those guys there. I mean, I had met Robert before, but I never met Albert. I never met Steve. And
well, they're all nice guys.
Oh man, Albert was great. He was telling stories about. He went and saw Robert the last week there, and he said
he knows Robert as long as I do, and he's great. He spent a lot of time up there with him. He spent a lot of time.
He said they laughed a lot. He said they really.
You know what? They sorted shit out is what they did.
That's
fantastic. They made peace and everything else because Robert's got a habit of burning bridges and
he was a tough dude.
Yeah, he wasn't easy to be around all the time. But once. When he started singing, you realized like why you would put up with that bullshit because he was great. He was a star. He's
I've said it over and over tonight. When you can say he's a rockabilly artist, but when he got a hold of a song, it was just a Robert Gordon song from then on. It wasn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Even the one I'm going to play next, which
Fire
was no. I'm going to play. It's Only Make Believe. That was a Conway Twitty hit.
I sang that tonight.
Really? Oh my God, that's a hard song, isn't it?
People see us everywhere. Yeah.
But I mean, to take that and make it your own shows what Robert was.
Oh yeah, he was phenomenal. All right. So start playing some music. I'm out. All right,
buddy. Thanks. I love you. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, everybody.
We'll talk soon. Take care, buddy. Love you.
Bye.
KMiC Radio.
People see us everywhere.